Okay, so let's take a look at this IELTS Task 2 essay. So the pattern is discussing both views and giving your opinion. Okay, so you've got to show some people believe A for this reason, some people believe B for this reason, and which one you agree with. And let's look at the topic. Some people want the government to spend money on researching life on other planets. However, others think it's a waste of public funds and there are too many problems on our own planet to be fixed first. Okay, so that's an interesting question. Should the government be spending money trying to go to space or not? I know personally, I think they shouldn't. I think they should spend money on us. I don't care about aliens though, so maybe that's just my personal opinion. Let's see what this candidate has done. It is important to consider where governments should allocate their money in the right places. Okay, where governments should allocate their money in the right places. This sentence doesn't quite make sense. It's important to consider where governments, to consider whether governments are allocating their money in the right places. Although some people believe that a large amount of the budget, could be a good paraphrase, amount of budgets should be spent on finding out about extraterrestrial existences. Should be spent on finding out whether extraterrestrial life exists. I would agree with those who argue that governments should consume the money for solving, should spend money on solving social problems first. Okay, so you agree with someone, agree with those, agree with me, agree with her, agree with them. Okay, so it should be agree with there. So I like this, some good points about this introduction. I like the background sentence here, I think is a good point. We've got a clear opinion. Okay, so it's good to always tell me what your opinion is going to be. That's very important in this question. There's just some issues about grammar and some of these word formations as well. So in terms of task completion and coherence, good. In terms of vocabulary and grammar, a little bit weaker. Let's look at that body one. There is no doubt that one of the significant benefits of investing money in discovering other life in the cosmos is that this can lead to advances in science. No, I really like this phrase, discovering other life in the cosmos. What a nice phrase. It's a nice paraphrase of the topic, and I like the word cosmos. It's quite an advanced native speaker vocabulary to use. So we can lead to advances in science and technology. This is because the high level of research and surveys based on the continual hypothesis and potential proofs tends to require scientists and technologists, we wouldn't say technologists, maybe engineers, to think in innovative and creative ways, and eventually can result in inventing up-to-date technological devices or machinery to communicate with alien life. Okay, what a long sentence. Quite a long sentence, and I can really see this candidate's trying to use a lot of advanced vocabulary, and it's kind of almost a disadvantage because it's making the sentence more difficult for me to understand because it's almost too long, the sentence, really. But I understand what they're trying to say. But yeah, so I think overall a nice complex sentence, a little bit long, but overall pretty strong sentence. For instance, to answer the riddle of space and other creatures on different planets, gadgets for astronomical observations and unmanned probes have been developed. Wow, unmanned probes, again, what a really nice phrase. If they had had no extensive financial support for the discovery of space research, it would have become hard to employ technology and improve scientific knowledge. Okay, the only thing I would like to see added is that these kind of unmanned probes have been developed, which have benefited humanity now, right? Because that's the point you're making, is that due to the funding for space, we've created things that have benefited our lives right now. So yeah, I think that would be the only thing I want to add in. We've got some really nice phrases, astronomical observations, again, another nice phrase, gadgets, another good vocabulary, really good for vocabulary, this candidate, and their grammar isn't too bad because they're trying quite difficult types of sentences. There's understandably a couple of small grammar mistakes. However, I believe that it is vital that the pressing money distribution should be firstly. Now, this it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what they mean by pressing money. Like press is like to press down on something. So I don't know what they mean by pressing money distribution. Sometimes pressing can also mean important. Like, oh, I have a pressing issue, or I've got something really pressing to do at home. So maybe he means it in terms of important money. Or this candidate means something like they've got some important thing for the money to do. But overall, I can't tell what they mean by the sentence. To address many social issues in society. Okay, so now they're saying that we should actually use the money to help society. The reason for this is that, okay, nice introductory phrase. Some candidates forget this, that when you introduce an idea, you have to give me supporting sentences. So you have to explain what you mean. The reason for this is that, so now he's going to explain, many people, comma, especially in developing countries, comma, have been suffering from hunger, crime, and poverty, as well as the lack of equal opportunities in terms of education and employment. Okay, this is quite a nice sentence, apart from this issue with the comma. As a consequence, the rate of infant mortality is still high and the social safety index is low worldwide. Oh, social safety index. Nice. I think this person studies economics or something. However, if the government invests, so either it's the government invests, or however, if governments invest. So this candidate should decide if they're going to do singular or plural. A greater quantity of money in coping with these problems than in aerospace industry programs. So again, they need to choose singular or plural. They will mitigate the rate of hunger or impoverishment as well as social injustice firsthand. Again, what a nice sentence. We've got some great phrases in here. Aerospace industry. How nice. Infant mortality. A good phrase. Social safety index. Greater quantity of money. Another great phrase. In coping with these problems. Another great phrase. Okay, so this candidate's clearly gone away and really worked on their subject-specific vocabulary, their high-level vocabulary, and they're using it quite well and in relevant sentences. So I think apart from this very first sentence, it's a very strong paragraph. And let's get the conclusion. In conclusion, although it is of critical importance that governments disperse money on research on research on other creatures in the universe, research on other creatures in the universe, which may bring scientific and technical development. I think on research on other creatures in the universe sounds a little bit strange. So could you tell, like, I just read that 2 or 3 times to try and figure out exactly what the meaning was? It does make sense when I read it the 3rd time, but that shows you that it's not a super clear way of phrasing. It's okay, but it's not the best way to phrase the sentence. In conclusion, although it is of critical importance that governments disperse money on research on extraterrestrial life, or on space frontiers or something like that, maybe it's going to be okay. The creation of the universe, which may bring about scientific and technological development. I feel that spending money for citizens' needs is more likely to be important due to helping to reduce the social disease of modern society. The social disease, to reduce the social issues or social problems. So you want to say reducing some of the many social problems of modern society. Yeah, overall, I think what a great answer. I can tell this candidate's really tried hard to work on their grammar and vocabulary. So for vocabulary, I'd want to give a 7 for sure. Really great phrases used very naturally in there. I like that a lot. In terms of task achievement, I would probably give a 7 as well. The arguments were really nicely expanded on and explained in each paragraph. And so they picked one reason and just explained it with lots of detail. So sometimes candidates will do something where they write sort of firstly and then one sentence and then secondly and one sentence. But this candidate's picked one reason and then they've really explained it with lots of detail. So I think that was great. There's, I mean, a couple of grammar mistakes as we go through, so I probably let them down a bit. So I probably give 6.5 for grammar. But they are trying more complex and more difficult grammatical structures, and naturally they've got a couple of mistakes in there. So it's still pretty good. And then coherence and cohesion, I think overall pretty good. They've got a nice conclusion. It's logical. They've got nice topic sentences. They've got good paragraphing. So I'd probably give a 7 for coherence and cohesion. So I'd say coming out at an overall 7.0. And I'd say this candidate's clearly, their strength is their vocabulary. Lots of nice vocabulary. And then it's just working on those small grammar issues. So the idea of the and then the plurals, you know, they just need to check those, I would say, first. And then it's just a case of, I like that they're trying more difficult grammar forms, and it's just a case of practicing until they get the grammar a little bit stronger. But overall, what a really nice, nicely written, well-structured essay.